All right, it's been a while. We're live. We're doing the podcast again. And I think one of the biggest things that I've noticed since being away from the podcast is that my demeanor is a lot less when I'm not podcasting. My demeanor, my health, my mindset, everything else takes about 10 seconds to load up on YouTube. But the biggest thing that I want to talk about today is that when you're in comfort, which I have been literally probably since the beginning of COVID, was that you feel like you go down a rabbit hole. And I'll start from the beginning is, if you're new here, I'm Charles Botensten, real estate agent in New York City. I've been doing podcasting for probably almost 10 years now. And one of the biggest things that I've noticed is that, like I started, is that when I'm not podcasting, I don't feel correct. I don't feel like I'm, I don't hold myself accountable to things, because when you're on camera, you have to be on, you have to be in shape, you have to know what you're talking about, you have to have mentally aware, you have to be smart, you have to be intelligent, you got to have topics, you got to keep them entertained, you got to make sure that they're listening, you're giving them value, and that you're coming back and you're consistent, and that all these things. And when you stop, it is really hard to start that back up. I'll give you an example is that today, Eric, the guy that's now prospecting with me, the biggest thing that we've noticed is that you got to start, okay? There's no other thing than just starting. Jocko Willink had a podcast where he, has a Q&A and everything else, and they ask questions, and they asked, how do I go to the gym, or what should I do when I go to the gym? And he's like, just go to the gym. You want to eat correctly, and we complicate it. And there's going to be a lot that I talk about, because the last, say, 6 months, I've been on a crazy journey of, of understanding how this world actually is and how it actually is for us, and I know that doesn't mean anything, but I saw a couple of videos about that we're living in a simulation and it's holographic universe, and that we have non-local consciousness and all these things. And I know that's woo-woo and out there, and you want like day-to-day things. But what I've noticed is that when I understood a couple of things, and the reason I'm coming to the conclusion of a lot of things is because you have all these teachers, these personal development teachers. You have people that believe in God and don't believe in God. You have people that believe in social media but don't believe in social media. You have people that say visualize. You have people that say do affirmations. You have people that do, and it's so all over the place when you really get into the personal development spaces that nobody really condenses it to just step by step. And the conclusion I came to about 3 months ago is that life is a game. And if you play the game based on the rules, you will win. But within the game of life, there's also a sub-game of health. Within health, there's a sub-game of sleep. Within sleep, there's a sub-game of not having coffee late night and blue light, blocking glasses and ensuring that you're not eating and alcohol and all these things. So across the whole spectrum of life, a lot of people are lost because they're not looking at life as this thing that has rules. There's certain rules in life that you must abide by. And ironically enough is that this is what they talked about in the early 1900s. I'm reading books from about 1890 to about 1920, 1930. And I'm going to be doing book reviews. Don't worry about it. I'm going to be talking about it. But what I noticed is that I think that was like the pinnacle of mental development. I think that was the pinnacle of mental development. They understood that thought matters, that words matter, that what you do matters, that the number one law in personal development is causation. That is the number one rule. I didn't think of this. I was just told this by Neville Goddard. Neville Goddard has an incredible series that he has, and I'm going to go back through his whole collection, and I'm going to do a book review on the entire collection. I think it's, 500-600 page book. But the number one law, this is a brilliant mind. He said there's a causation to everything you do. You sit on the couch, there's a causation. You go to the gym, there's a causation. You eat correctly, there's a causation. But the number one thing to personal development, is you must get your mind right. And it must be clear. It must be clear. And this is why I have such a yearning right now to get back into the personal development space, start doing the podcasting and everything else, and stop being selfish and not sharing the knowledge and everything else. And the reason being is that there is so much trash that is being spewed out onto the radio waves, the TV waves, the cell phone waves, all this trash of just negativity and everything else. And the number one thing that I've noticed is that when you have a clear mind, you can look through that and understand that everything is trying to manipulate you. And when you are being manipulated, like the thumbnail says, is that it's easy to lie to yourself to be comfortable. It's easy to lie to yourself to eat incorrectly. It is easy to lie to yourself to not make sales calls. It's easy to not ask that person out even though you want something in life, say a relationship or money or whatever, your bank balance to go up, whatever the case is that it's easy to lie to yourself when your mind is not clear. So everything that is being crammed into your brain, all this negativity is just sucking your soul dry, and then you lie to yourself and then you're lost like I was for 2.5 years. I was so lost for 2.5 years that it took me hell until about last week to just be like, dude, what are you doing? Even myself, who's been in the personal development space since 22, I'm now 37, so 15 years. Like, it's crazy how easy it is to spiral down, okay? And how hard it is to spiral back up. So the biggest thing that I have to say today is that you must get your mind right. You control your mind. Your mind is everything. Your mind is easily manipulated. It is easily controlled. You have no control over it if it's not clear. So how do you clear your mind? The first thing is you have to get your health right. That is the basis to any personal development. I don't care what anyone says. If you don't have your health right, but your relationship is on fire, it's not, or if your health is not right, your relationship really can't be on fire. Like, it's just intertwined. The energy that you give to a relationship is completely intertwined with how well your health is. Your energy is direct proportion to how well you take care of yourself. And you can't have energy if you're not taking care of yourself. If you're drinking too much, or you're gaming, or you're watching, things that you shouldn't be watching, or Netflix, or too much, doesn't matter. There's endless opportunities to be entertained today. And that's why it's easy to lie to ourselves. That's why we're the master manipulators of our own lives. I easily manipulated myself out of, career explosion for the last 2.5 years. It's really what it comes down to, is that for the last 2.5 years, I've lied to myself about that comfort is fine, that stretching isn't, it's just for other people, it's just not for you. And for anyone that is looking for any type of growth, if they're stagnant, if you're sitting there and you're saying, listen, I need to get my life back on track. I need to get my health back on track, or I need to get my relationships or my money or anything else back on track. You must focus on your health first. And the first thing is you have to look at, what are you consuming through your eyes? What is going into your brain through your eyes? That is the only entering to your brain that can control you easily, is what you visually look at on a day-to-day basis. Where do you put your attention? The easiest way that people have talked about it is, Gary talks about it all the time. It's an attention economy. And it's like, there's so much competition about people's attention. Listen, if you are not controlling what enters your eyeballs, you're done. You're done. You are going to be like everyone else out there, the 80% out there. As I was telling Eric, is that, having been on the dating apps for, 6 months, 7 months, and, scrolling through and everything else, you know what I've noticed is that most girls are the same. They're exactly the same. They like the same things. They like to travel. They're active. They're overly competitive at everything. They like dogs and things like that, okay? Rarely are you going to have someone that really stands out. And then I thought about it and I said, that's probably exactly what they're saying about the guys. And then if you take the guys and you take the girls, and we all think we're unique, special snowflakes, but in reality, we all like and have the same desires, and we have the same fears and everything else. Most people are exactly the same. That's really what it comes down to, is that most people are exactly the same. They like the same things, they say the same things, they do the same trips, they think the same way, they speak the same way, they act the same way. They are just completely programmable. That's what I've noticed, is that it takes a special someone that can actually break out of the thinking, the group think, the collective consciousness, and break out and say, listen, I'm taking a stand on being really healthy in a family that comes from obesity. I'm going to break out of the poverty that has been within my family. I'm going to break out of the curse of divorce within the family, and I'm going to get married and have a lovely relationship and everything else. So the point of the podcast was to come on and literally be vulnerable for myself on how much I've lied to myself over the last 2.5 years, that I manipulated myself to comfort. And that's the dichotomy, is that you think that comfort is fun. You think that comfort is exciting and engaging, and it's the best thing that's ever going to happen to me and everything else. And then at the end of the day, you have to understand that you are essentially bringing the spirituality, you're bringing the growth out of your life. And we are the only reason we are here. The only reason for me that I've come to over 15 years of personal development is to become at a higher state of vibration, a higher state of consciousness, a higher state of spirituality, whatever you want to call it. And that entails everything. That entails everything. That includes your body, that includes your relationships, that includes how you interact with the world, that includes charity, that includes what are you thinking, what are your routines, your daily routines, your nightly routines, your morning routines. You know, my morning routine is fantastic right now. And it literally is only 1 week in, but it's a fantastic. You know, I can't even tell you how much better it is to actually have a routine that you stick by. I wake up, I do at least 10 push-ups. Obviously, there's a minimum that I do on everything else. I do at least 1 minute on the rebounder. It's obviously more than that, and obviously I do more push-ups. And then I go right into my visualization, and I say at least 2 minutes of visualization, okay? And it's always longer than that, but my whole morning routine is probably 10 minutes. But I can tell you right now, when I'm done, my mind is so clear. It is so clear. I don't even want to look at my phone. I don't give a shit about my emails. I don't care about my text messages. I don't care about social media. I don't care about the news. I don't watch the news. I have no idea and everything. This is actually a funny story. I went on Facebook. I was wishing someone a happy birthday on Facebook. Go figure. And the first post that came up was, you know, what do you think of this woman running for governor? And I was like, who the hell is that? And I go to the comment section because it's always fun to look at what the drama was. This is pre the morning routines. And I was like, I wonder who that governor is. So I looked it up. It's actually my governor. I didn't even know. I didn't even know. So it just shows that if you can completely unplug from drama and negativity and everything else, your life is so much better. But the problem is your mind. And it manipulates you into comfort. It manipulates you into laziness. It manipulates you into being no growth, no moving forward, nothing that actually brings of value, okay? Value comes from understanding that you are here to get better 1% every single day. That's it. That's the only reason we're here, 1% every single day. We just did a new show on our real estate channel, and we talked about 4 news articles and how much headlines are just completely inaccurate. And what we noticed, Eric, the guy that I did it with, he goes, so like, today's the first time we're doing it. He goes, so what's the premise? Like, what are we doing? I'm like, the premise is just to start. Just do it. And we just ad-libbed the entire 17 minutes and we talked about real estate. Is anyone going to view it? I have no idea. But when we're done and I stop the video and I record it, it's on my desktop, it's going to be uploaded and everything else, go over to my last name, Properties International, and subscribe there. We're going to be doing it every single week. Right after we were done, boom, we gave each other a high five and he goes, dude, I'm on fire. Let's do that weekly. He said, we're not missing a week. And that's the thing, is that for so long, I thought about doing a show. For so long, I thought about what I wanted to do for the show. I just thought about, and what I noticed is that the reality is, I started the video talking about the law of causation. The causation was all I was doing was thinking about it, okay? And the effect, the consequence was nothing. No recording, no video, no show. So the causation of me thinking about it, nothing was happening. That's why today, when he asked, what is the premise? What should we do? I said, we're going to start. That's it. We're just going to start. And then whatever happens, happens. If it sucks, it sucks. If we need to redo it next week, we'll redo it next week. But you know what? We started, we had banter, it was fun, it was entertaining, it was exciting. And then afterwards, boom, a rush, because we weren't thinking about it anymore. We were actually doing, okay? But up until the doing, I was manipulating my own mind about thinking, what should I talk about? What are the articles? What's the premise? Should he be mic'd up? Should I be mic'd up? How should we joke around? Should we be entertaining? Should we take stand? Should we be controversial? Should we give our own take? Just all day, just ruminating. And then I thought about it, ironically enough, about where else in my life am I've manipulated myself out of not doing Ironmans. I still train now, finally, consistently, but it's only been a week, okay? I've been manipulating myself out of, self-manipulation, out of Ironmans. I've lost at least $10,000 worth of airplane tickets, hotels, cars, race entry fees. Like, it's insane how much money that I have not, I just literally threw it into a pile and lit it on fire. At least $10,000 of just, and I didn't really care, which is even worse. You know, I was apathetic. I had no emotion towards it, which is even worse. That's the worst way you could be. At least care. It's the people that talk about, well, I don't even care about blah, 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 blah. Well, you sort of do care about it because you're talking about it, okay? Listen, I can go on forever, but the one thing I'm going to leave you with is that what you think about and what you say is vitally important to your life. What you think about and what you say is everything. You must control your speech. You must control your mind. You are in control of your mind. You are in control of your speech. But the problem is that you must get a clear mind first before you can control and manipulate the world to create what you want. You know, the one thing that my mom always talks about is, you know, you have a gift. Charles, you have a gift. And I'm like, it kind of created the person that you see right now, because I had anger issues. I had just mindset issues. I was very negative. I was drinking too much. I'm talking about at age 23. And, you know, I was living with a roommate. The place was about 300 square feet in a 2-bedroom, no joke. I was drinking too much. I was partying too much. I was eating like crap. My clothes didn't fit. It was a nightmare, okay? It was a nightmare. So the person you see today was created, okay? Because the natural evolution to me is not natural, okay? It was bending and manipulating the universe to the creation in which you see right now on video. Okay, it took a lot of hard work. It took $250,000 of personal development and hundreds of books and everything else. I could talk about that ad nauseum. But the number one thing, the law of causation, is that I had to take action. Just like this is the first time I'm doing a video in months. I'm going to get right back into it. And the reason being is that I feel awful not actually sharing all of the things that I think about that people need. They need this advice. So this is going to be the first podcast back. I think it's number 5, podcast number 5. If you guys have any questions, leave in the comments below. Subscribe to the video. And I'm going to be going back to book reviews, so do not worry about that. I do have to worry about the book notes. The book notes are just for me, or maybe I'll make it members only. And the reason being, it's from the book. So I can't just give the book notes out, maybe? I don't know. Is there any legality behind that? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But have an amazing time getting back into the best version of yourself. 1% every single day. Focus on your health. Focus on your mindset. Focus on your food. Focus on actual drinking of water. I do about a gallon a day. I sweat a lot in the morning when I do my workouts, so I got to replenish that. And then also I just want to get rid of the toxins that my body is just always just making. You know, your body's always just releasing toxins, and you don't want that stored in the body. You want that out of the body. And like whether that's excretion or sweat. I prefer sweat. But the most important thing is making sure that your body is fed with proper food, because that food and the characteristics make everything about you. It makes your skin, makes your eyes, makes your nails, makes your mind, it makes your brain, makes your ears, makes your hair, it makes everything. You know, we don't just come from anything. Like food feeds the growth of your body and your mind and your feet and your heart and your organs and your blood and everything else. It all matters. So when I say that the mindset of the early 1900s was one of the top mindset era of personal development book writing, it's because they had a clear mind, they had good food, they were all in shape, they were professional, and they wrote books based on thought. That thought is the number one thing that you must control. It is your thoughts. It is what you think about that matters in your life most. And then from there, you perceive the world based on your thoughts. Two people see the same event, they interpret it different based on the perception that they interpret on the event. I look at it as a speeding car, someone else looks at it as fun. Someone looks at it as dangerous, someone looks at it as fun. So that's all for today. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below, subscribe to the video, and I will talk to you next week.